Hello and welcome to IASPrimers. Now, recently, Betwa link project was there in the news, and it is not just about the news thing. Also, it's part of the NCRTs, and it is part of a very important project known as the National Perspective Plan on interlinking of river waters. So you know what? This topic gives us a lot of insights from the prelims point of view. We need to know about this project. We need to know about the river Cane and river Betwa. But yes, it also gives us certain insights upon the interlinking of the rivers. So from the prelims point of view, Cane and Betwa, and from the mains point of view, General Studies 1, we can have a question on the interlinking of the river waters. So let's consider this question over here. Let's consider, just keep this in mind when we are doing the analysis, we'll cover this. The interlinking of river waters is seen as a viable solution to many interrelated problems such as drought, floods, and interrupted navigation. So, there is certain areas in a country, there is a lot of drought is there, certain areas, same time of the year, there is a lot of floods are taking place. So can't we transfer surplus water from the flood prone areas to the drought prone areas? And if we are able to transfer by the means of canals, it will help us with the navigation as well. And water-based navigation is considered to be very cost effective as well as environment friendly. So it will help us in addressing the viable solution to many interrelated problems. Critically examine with reference to the National Perspective Plan for interlinking of river waters. So keep this in mind, keep this question in mind for a question of 250 words. Now let's look at what is this Cane Betwa link project. Well, basically the central government has recently given approval for funding of this project. So it will cost about rupees 44,000 crores, and two rivers, river Cane, tributaries of river Yamuna, so Cane river and Betwa river would be interlinked. The basic idea is that the surplus that is there along river Cane be transferred with the help of a canal, as you can see in the maroon, purple, whatever this color is, to river Betwa. So this is a very drought prone area, and this will be benefited, this region would be benefited, and naturally there will be certain economic and social benefits that would accrue because of this project. Right? So this is the project basically. So keep this in mind that Cane, when we write Cane and Betwa, but it is actually Cane is to the eastern side. Cane is to the eastern side. It is like the last tributary of river Yamuna. And Betwa is to the west, as you can see on the map on the screen over here. Right? Water will be transferred from Cane to Betwa. And the river Cane, you need to know basic idea as to where these rivers originate. So river Cane is basically getting originated from the Kaimur hills basically. And here what will happen is a dam would be created, Daudan Dam would be created, and water would be transferred with the help of a link canal. So this is the Cane Betwa link project. And this is going to be the first ever project to be executed as part of the National Perspective Plan for interlinking of river waters. So there are many other proposals are there as part of the National Perspective Plan. So many other rivers are there which can be connected. So you can see this project over here. So this is coming under Ministry of Jal Shakti. By the way, this is the PIB for this particular project. So this is under Ministry of Jal Shakti. Earlier it was Ministry of Irrigation. And the basic idea is to transfer, inter-basin transfer of water from water surplus basins to water deficit basins. Logical? Right? And yes, this flood prone areas through the drought prone areas. And this has two components. So one is the Himalayan components. So you can imagine the tributaries of the Ganga and the Yamuna. So they can be connected. So Himalayan northern part and the peninsula part. So it's not like, straight away from Himalaya to the peninsula connecting. No. So like for instance, we can have Krishna and Godavari and associated rivers, so they can be connected, so they can be linked together, as you can see for the peninsula component. So there are various river links that have been proposed over here. So the important thing about the Betwa link project is this is the first project that will be executed. The rest of the projects, the rest of the proposals are into the feasibility, feasibility studies are being going on for those projects. Now let's look at the benefits. But before moving forward to the benefits, I just want to share certain points with reference to the drought in our country. Drought and water stress. So as per a study, as per a survey, about 42% of our area, geography of area, 42% is drought prone. And certain areas, 6% of the area is extremely dry. So there is scarcity of water. So one is this. And other thing you can use in our answer writing is you can give a mention of water stress. A survey was done, an index was created by the Niti Aayog known as the Composite Water Management Index. So it ranks water and availability of water on various parameters, water pollution, availability of water, etc. So one of this is water stress. Water stress, as you can imagine, it is about the scarcity of water. So about 660 million of a population, 660 million, this is roughly half of a population, 1.3 billion is the present one. So roughly half of a population is under water stress. So there is scarcity of water, and naturally it affects the livelihood of the people concerned. So this two things that we have, and yes, there are certain areas which are water, they are flooded, and there are parts of the country, especially in the eastern part, where we see there are a lot of floods that are taking place and people are losing their lives, losing their belongings and other things. So the idea of the interlinking is to find a viable solution. Remember the question, viable solution to the interrelated problems, floods and droughts, and also navigation through water. So let's see the economic benefits of Betwa, and logically, if Betwa has the benefits, so is the National Perspective Plan on linking of the waters, the linking of the rivers. So first benefit is irrigation. Irrigation is very, very important in the sense that 70% of our country is rural, and most of them are dependent on the agriculture as their occupation, and they are dependent on the monsoons, and monsoon is also called as the finance minister of a country because that decides, and we do not know when the monsoons will take place, what will be the consistency. So many issues are there. So if we can irrigate, and especially to a very dry area, this problem will be solved, and it will help improve the livelihood and the quality of the life of the people over there. So irrigation, thereby it is the first point. And yes, if you make a dam and you're navigating the water through the various areas, you can run a turbine with that, and that will help create the electricity. So power generation would take place. And logically, if you provide livelihood, you provide electricity, then that would mean better economic activities. It will boost economic activity. And think of it from this point of view also, that if more agriculture is taking place, so just from the farming point of view, if more agriculture, so more incomes means people buying more, so more demand for the things that are created by the secondary and the tertiary sector. So it has a multiplier effect over here. And yes, navigation, of course. Now, naturally, if the economic benefits are there, so it will also translate into social upliftment. So first of all, many of the people who are living in this water stressed areas, and because of the poor agriculture situation, they are forced to migrate, right? Especially in the Delhi and those areas, so slum population. So this will help reduce the distress migration. Many of the times it is seen that fetching the water, we are very privileged. We have this, you're watching it on the internet, so you must be privileged too, that we have tapped water. But people, especially the women of the house, they have to travel long distance to fetch water. And this comes at a cost. One is the inconvenience, of course, but then imagine that woman, in under difficult conditions, maybe then it is given to the girl child over here, the access to education, access to nutrition, all of this is hampered because of this. So this will pave way for women empowerment as well. And yes, better access to water, better access to incomes would help in improving the health outcomes as well as the educational outcomes. So these are certain benefits over here. So now just recall the question over here. What we need to know is, we need to connect the viable solution to the interrelated problems that you have over here. And you can always take a screenshot, or you can just refer this again, National Perspective Plan for Interlinking of River Waters. You can start with that, then mention the benefits. Now comes the concerns associated, right? Question said critically examine. So what are the concerns? First of all, if we have the Betwa link project, it is along the sanctuary, Panna Tiger Reserve is there. And likewise, many other areas would be submerged, especially when you create a dam. Huge amount of land is required. So that land is, it's encased with walls or certain surrounding structure so that water can be stored. So that water, when there was no water, now the water is there, so everything would be submerged. So land is gone, so people living there is affected. The flora and fauna, the forest, everything will be getting affected because of that. So it comes at a huge economic cost, environmental cost. And yes, it is affecting the people also who must be living in and around that area. So in our case, we have, with this reference to Betwa, we have the submergence of the Panna Tiger Reserve. But can't we say that if other rivers were also there, if we have this interlinking project, it will affect this? In fact, this is seen with reference to China as well. China has one of the most ambitious projects as well. And many of them have also been, a lot of problems are also incurred by those people also there who are part of this project. Then it says, it's based on an assumption. Yes, feasibility study is done, but it is based on an assumption that this is water surplus, this is water deficit. Yes, historically speaking, yes. But think about it, if we look at from the pan-India approach also, for this case itself, the monsoons that we have, the rains that take place, this region is dependent on the rains for water, rivers. There is lot of varied distribution. It may, from time-wise, this may be varied. It may be from the point of view of which place the rain is taking place. So there is lot of inconsistencies, and given the concerns associated with the climate change, now think about it, the western coast is having so many cyclones, something very, very new. So varied distribution of monsoons over here. This is based on an assumption that this is water surplus and water would be transferred. So this is a concern over here which has been experienced in the countries which have already implemented something like this, such as China. Then yes, federal issue. Yes, here we didn't have, maybe because the same state government is there, same government at the center also. But across the country, if we look from the point of view of, across the country, most of the rivers are interstate. And if you're connecting two rivers, definitely it is going to be interstate. And we have a lot of examples of interstate river water dispute. And now you're talking about transferring water from one place to another. So this is going to be challenging when it comes to the conflicts between the different states. So this is going to be a federal issue where, the tensions between the center and the states amongst themselves, this is going to concern the implementation of the National Perspective Plan on Interlinking of River Waters. Right? So this is basic analysis that we have on the Betwa link project.